Eli Youngblood is a two-time award-winning artist who's performed on the radar, more than 10x his fan engagement online, tripled his following on Instagram, recently signed a short-term deal with Broke Records, all in the last 6 months. And in this video, he's going to pull back the curtains on the mindset shifts he's made, the content strategy and shifts he's made there, the routine he's built with his team to make sure that his time and money is going into the right places, and the vision he has for himself and his brand in terms of what he wants to accomplish that separates him from every other artist. So go grab a piece of paper, take some notes, but more importantly, execute on what you learned in this video. So talk to me. I want to know, over the last 6 to 7 months, like before we started working together and all that, where were you at?
Well, numbers wise, 7-ish months ago, I was in the realm of like 2,000 to 3,000 Instagram followers. Engagement was 10 times lower. Monthly music streaming numbers were also a lot lower, probably in the realm of like 3,000 as well. But the real important thing was like basically my headspace was a lot different at the time. I had a lot more fear, a lot more procrastination. There were a lot of things I knew I had to do regarding music, but they felt like this crazy unattainable thing that I could never, it was like a whole mental switch that I couldn't turn on.
You mentioned that there is this fear and lack of confidence around like, can I actually be successful in music? Are the dreams that I have like realistic? Can I accomplish them? And there's also a sense of procrastination that came from that.
Yep.
What specifically do you feel like was behind that?
Well, it was obviously a fear of failure. Me and my father talked a bit about it at one time. He was saying, I think that you're just afraid to give it your all and potentially fail at it. That was it for me. Music is it for me. That's all I want to do. If there's no music, there's nothing else I want to do. What am I going to do? Go be an accountant? So it was kind of just a fear that if I really stepped over that line and I still failed, I had nothing left.
That's real. Yeah. Well, what do you feel like it was for you that allowed you to finally overcome that fear and truly go all in so that you could accomplish things that you have over the last 6 months?
Well, it honestly, this is where I'd attribute a lot of that to you, because I remember you reached out to me, started talking a bit. We got on call and we talked about the society, and I was super nervous about it at the time because I did not have much money left in my name. It was like a step I was freaked out about taking. In the end, I decided to take it, and ironically, that mental step really I made that step, and it put me to this point of no return. The line that I was so afraid to cross for months, you kind of gave me an opportunity to make that step over the line. And so at this point, I put my financial investment into this. I kind of put my time investment into this over the next 6 months. And I kind of stepped over and I was like, all right, well, I don't have anything else. I just made the decision to say, I want to do this. I got to do it now. So it kind of put me in this space for a few weeks to like a month where I kind of just put my head down and worked. And the biggest thing for me was obviously content, short form content. It was something I could never master. And it is really the key to amplifying and blowing yourself up in like the digital age, like in the 2020s. Like if you don't have an online presence, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, forget even YouTube Shorts, then you're not going anywhere. So the big thing for me is it put this kind of fire under me that really kind of maybe just shoot forward. I was looking at tons of content a day, trying to emulate it. I reached out to a friend of mine with a camera. By the way, for everyone out there, before you try to pay videographers or do whatever, try to do it yourself. Whether it's a friend with a camera, like bribing your sister to do it for you, you should always do that first. It's just such a better investment. And so for the next few months, we just experimented with a bunch of different techniques and a bunch of different strategies. Throughout my whole life, I've been alone, and it's kind of been solitary in my pursuit of music. I haven't had a lot of friends who do it. And so one of the helps of joining your group and joining a community like yours was it provided an outlet of accountability to where we had like weekly check-ins. And we had these calls. Not even that, there were other artists that I now followed and was connected with that I was talking to on a daily basis, and it was words of encouragement, it was questions, it was this and that, and especially it kind of came to a point of personal encouragement too, especially when I really started amplifying my content, because people would come to me asking me how I did this or that. And so it was a point of like validation and clarity of I'm growing as well, and they're people seeing it.
That's great, dude. I'm proud of you, genuinely, for putting in the work, because that's ultimately what led to you getting to where you are. It's not necessarily me, it's you putting your head down, taking that step and putting the left foot from the right foot every day, being relentless about pursuing what you want. After you had that mindset shift and you're finally able to take that first step, overcome that procrastination and fear, and start to build that confidence, what other, would you say, key changes did you make around yourself that have allowed you to grow how you have so far?
Well, the first is obviously what was finding somewhat of a routine. If you're going to try to do work and you're going to try to work hard, work with a plan, I would always go into, filming content and releasing music with this kind of aimless sense of like, I'll just throw it out there and see what happens. Back in November, I had this single name called Moving Day. I wrote it in the span of a day, and like that night I started filming content for it. And me and my friend, this is my friend, my camera guy, Ben, we just decided, we're just going to make the most interesting 5-second Snapchat clips, because I've seen him work. I was looking at artists like Citizen, the goat of he follows me now, which is crazy. And the thing was, we went out that night and filmed a bunch of videos, and then the next day we went out and filmed like 10 to 12 videos. I posted them over the span of that few weeks, and that did it. It was a mindset shift. It was like a strategy shift, and then from that point on, we were just like locked in. We were like, all right, keep farming these, and we incorporated other video styles into it as well, and we got a little more creative with it.
You mentioned having routine around being able to execute on those things. For someone who doesn't have a routine and is like, okay, I'm hearing this, I know I need to have a routine, what advice would you give them to build that out and find something that actually is consistent and sustainable for them?
If you don't have a routine or a schedule, you'll have 50,000 things you feel like you need to do, and you'll never accomplish any of them because you don't set your priorities of what you want to do first. I would say, I mean, the best thing to do would probably be just like lay out your priorities. What are your priorities? What do you need to get done today? I would just call Ben, and I'm super lucky that I love that guy. He's so easygoing and chill with times. I would just call him, be like, yo, tomorrow, like 5 to 6, maybe 7, maybe 2 hours. Would you want to just shoot as much content as possible? And he's like, yeah, why not? And just pull up. If you really believe in yourself and you really put the work in, things will work themselves out in whatever way you feel. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's kind of God spinning stuff around up there for me, but it was crazy. Me and my manager were talking about how much we've manifested in the past 7 months just from dreaming, making small little steps that kind of had this big domino effect.
And that's what it means to be an elite artist. You only fail if you quit.
Yeah.
Like, that's the mantra. You can only fail if you quit. And it's the relentless pursuit, never throwing in the towel on yourself, that will eventually allow you to become successful. It's really cool to see that happen for you full circle. And I know there's another mountain that you're working towards climbing, but it's really cool to see that we've overcome where you were even 7 months ago to now. What is it that you're looking to build? I know you have this thing called Midwest Renaissance in Babylon. Like, what are those things, those long-term impacts that you want to make?
I grew up in a pretty modestly large to smallish town in the Midwest called Evansville, Indiana. Not a huge major city, but not a small town by any means. And growing up in the Midwest, trying to become a hip hop artist, especially coming from my background, always felt like this bit of like a pipe dream long shot, because everyone, as you know, there are major music spots like Austin and Houston and LA, maybe Miami, New York. And so a lot of artists catch themselves moving out to these big hubs to make things happen and like get real opportunities, because a lot of times there aren't really real opportunities that come out of places like Evansville, Indiana. There really aren't. There's not much of a music space here whatsoever. And so it kind of motivated me, because when I was young, I moved out to LA, and I was like, I'm gonna make it happen out here in the songwriting industry. As much as I love my time out there, I realized that wasn't my identity. My identity wasn't an LA artist. I wasn't a kid on the West Coast achieving. I was a small town kid with this huge dream that felt bigger than myself. So back in August of last year, I was like, I'm moving home. So I moved home from LA, I drove 30 hours, and I was like, I just need to figure out how to plant myself in this space, because the Midwest, some people might see it as like this wasteland that you could never build anything in, but I saw it as a blank canvas. I saw it as it's so oversaturated on the West Coast. It's so oversaturated in New York that everyone's trying to be a lyrical rapper in New York. Why not build something up where I'm from? And guess what? People in the Midwest would love to get behind it. So I was really trying to figure out a way to draw on that blank canvas that I saw was my hometown and the region I was from. And that's where the Midwest Renaissance came into play. The bigger I get, the more leverage I get as an artist, the more I can build up this movement and this team that will push people younger than me and give opportunities to people younger than me, to where I can build up a pop music scene in the Midwest that never existed beforehand, that young kids from small town Gary, Indiana, or Ohio, or St. Louis, or all these places, I want to create that outlet for people younger than me.
If you had one lesson or piece of advice to give to someone who is where you were a year ago, what would it be?
Nobody owes you a dime. No one owes you anything. My whole life, I acted as if people owed me things. It got me nowhere. I acted as if my label owed me my success. No one owes you anything besides yourself. You owe it to yourself, but no one else does. Not your parents, not your freaking friends. Nobody owes anything to you. This dream that you want to achieve is only contingent on whether or not you succeed at it and you get to that point where you're doing it. People will only believe in you if you believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself and you have no idea where you're going, things will fall through because of that. You need to create that self-belief, and you need to come to the terms with the fact that if I don't do this, I'm going to fail myself and I'm going to be doing myself a disservice.